State Senator Eric Schmitt. I've represented the 15th District in St. Louis County the last 8 years. It's been an honor of a lifetime to be elected by folks in my home county. I'm a sixth-generation Missourian. My ancestors came over from Germany and settled in mid-Missouri, actually in Tipton and Pilot Grove. And my grandfather, after World War II, came back and he wanted to start a business. And he had an 8th grade education, but he wanted to be his own boss, or at least that's what he thought. The customers are always the boss. But he started a small butcher shop in St. Louis County, raised a family, lived the American dream. My father saw that work ethic, and worked in that butcher shop along with his brothers and sister. And my dad was a butcher and then went to night school during the evening. So when I was a young kid, I saw my dad working during the day, going to school at night, and I think that perseverance, that pursuit of happiness, that desire to achieve the American dream had a profound impact on me, that work ethic. And so for me, I was the first person to go to college, right out of high school in my family. I was the first person to go to law school and had a chance to work with a lot of small businesses as a practicing lawyer. And then as I entered the Senate and kind of public life, to be focused on a lot of important issues to grow our economy. I've chaired the Economic Development Committee in the Senate the last 6 years, have been the primary author of 2 of the largest tax cuts in the history of the state, and been in there a lot of room with Missouri Chamber folks and site selectors. I think I understand what folks are looking for to locate their businesses and to stay here. And as state treasurer, I want to work on and continue that work, be an advocate for business, to be an advocate for individuals who want to keep more of their own money, to be an advocate for our state, to grow. I have 3 young kids. And I want them to have every opportunity to succeed right here in Missouri. I don't want them to have to go anywhere else. So we've got a lot of opportunities, I think, to do that, but we need leadership, executive leadership, and that's why I'm running for treasurer. First and foremost, I passed the bill that phased out the corporate franchise tax. That was a priority of the Missouri Chamber and a lot of business groups a few years ago, back in 2011. The elimination of the corporate franchise tax is now complete. So there was a tax that businesses were paying. It was really a double tax on assets. And really what it did was encouraging businesses to expand and locate their business in other states. It was silly, and it came about before we had a corporate income tax, but we phased that out, and I was happy to lead the charge on that. And then fast forward a couple years past that, we passed the first tax cut in almost 100 years. The thing that I really championed in there, in addition to the individual tax cuts, was a 25% business income deduction. So no matter how you're organized in this state, you're going to pay 25% less to Jefferson City over about a 5-year period of time. I'm very proud of that. I think, somebody that grew up admiring Jack Kemp and a lot of the Happy Warriors that talked about what it meant for people to keep more of their own money, for businesses to have more of those assets to invest in people and inventories, what's going to make our economy grow. So those are some of the things I've worked on. I think right to work is another important issue that we need to move Missouri forward on, and have been supportive of those efforts as well. Well, I think we need to invest more money in Main Street. Less in Wall Street. The Wall Street banks are doing just fine, but as I get around the state, to have a state treasurer that's more invested in Main Street, in those small businesses across this great state, I think that's really, really important. And I think we also need a treasurer who's going to be an advocate. Somebody, again, having chaired the Economic Development Committee, somebody that's going to go out there and really champion those efforts to be a thought leader as state treasurer. I mean, you're in charge of the money, right? And so I think to be able to be an advocate, to talk about those strategies and those policies that are going to grow our economy. I think if you look around objectively, we're in an intense competition with other states, and not just other states, but other countries. And if you look at the states, they're doing it really well, right? The states they're growing, they're low tax, right to work states. And I think that we need to move forward on that policy, and I intend to be an advocate. I have a track record of supporting those policies. And again, I feel very, very strongly that we need to allow people to keep more of their own money, in businesses to kind of get government off their back, get government out of the way. That's been my track record and those policies that I want to continue to advocate for as state treasurer. I think when you decide to run for office, when you decide to run for statewide office, it's a big commitment, right? It's a big state to get around, but it has been incredibly gratifying to have gotten around over the last couple of years. The Boot Heel, you can grow everything in the Boot Heel except citrus. It is a tremendously diverse agricultural economy. In the Northwest Missouri, they got wind farms. So I think to have a treasurer that understands the differences in our state, but the ability then to bring people together, to move an agenda forward. That's been my record in the state Senate. And I think to move those big ideas forward, I've handled those bills. They've come to my committee, the Economic Development Committee. I've worked with business groups. I've listened to business groups. We've moved forward on policies, again, like eliminating the corporate franchise tax, cutting taxes over a governor's veto. It really takes leadership to do those kinds of things. And as state treasurer, I intend to lead the charge to move us forward. We need to be bold. We need to do big things, and to have sort of the chief financial officer of the state saying that we need to do those things can only help us get there. We have some great opportunities in the state to grow. Our ag economy, being a distribution and logistics hub, to have a state treasurer that understands that knows that's willing to work hard to help us get there is really, really important. And I'm going to wake up every day. And the thought on my mind is, how can we move Missouri forward? How can we provide more opportunity for more people, no matter what their background is? I mean, I come from a middle-class family, saw how hard my parents worked, how hard my grandfather worked. I want my kids to have every opportunity to succeed right here in Missouri.